What is going on, guys? I'm MLS of This Week in MLS, and welcome to episode 9 of the This Week in MLS show. I am pumped. What a great second weekend of MLS soccer. Later in the show, we have Russell Canouse of DC United, but now we have the man, the myth, the legend, Blem from MLS Gone Wild, the podcast on various platforms. Blem, I hear you are wearing this white Columbus Crew jersey for the very first time on the show. But anyways, how are you doing?
I'm good, man, and that is a fact. I did just cut the tags off of this jersey. I've had this kit now. It's the Kevin Molino 2-star white Columbus Crew kit. Kevin Molino, unfortunately, he's been hurt, so I really haven't had a reason to wear it yet. I've been kind of waiting, but since I know this is a video podcast, I'm going to be on YouTube. I got to look good. I got to feel good, so I had to rep the crew. But Eli, I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me on the show. It's a pleasure, and I can't wait to get into this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Let's just get into it. We're going to start off with our 3 stars of the week. And at number 3, we have Austin FC, Cecilio Dominguez. We'll get to Austin in general later in the show, but talk about Cecilio Dominguez, Blem. What did you see in this one?
So he scored a brace. He got the game-winning goal. He looked really good. And our podcast, Eli, you joined us last week. I said that Rodney Redis looked like the better DP. Cecilio Dominguez came out and shut me up. Got the game-winning goal, got the insurance goal. Austin escapes. Well, doesn't really escape. They beat Colorado easily 3-1 in Colorado.
No, absolutely. And Cecilio Dominguez was signed to be the star of this team, so it's great to see him get a brace. And now we're going to go to a young star for our second of the 3 stars of the week, Cade Cowell of the San Jose Earthquakes. What a match he had, Blem. Take it away.
Another 3-1 game. San Jose, they really scared me and they disappointed me in the Houston game, but they came out, beat Dallas 3-1. Cade Cowell, goal and an assist. I don't know which one was better, the assist with the outside of his right foot to Christian Espinoza to put him in on goal where he chips the goalkeeper, but the ball was absolutely phenomenal. But then for him to have the composure in the box to score his goal, give a couple shoulder fakes, cut left, put it in the back stick. Great game from the 17-year-old, and it's hard to believe that this kid is 17. He's one to look out for in the future.
Yeah, no, and for those who have watched my show since the beginning, I guess episode 1, we're on episode 9, you would know how much I love Cade Cowell, despite me hating the San Jose Earthquakes. And this kid, the composure he showed in the box these first 2 matches, and that pass is definitely the best pass we have seen in MLS so far this season. Kudos to you, Cade, and shout out to the Earthquakes for finally getting a dub. But we're going to go down to the other side of the Cali Classico for our number 1 star of the week, the man who just scored a hat trick, Chicharito.
Chicharito was back, and 2020 was a hard year for anybody with the pandemic, having a break from the season when he came in, one of the most anticipated signings ever, and then the league shuts down. It was a rough year, and he's talked about it pretty openly, but for him to score 5 goals in 2 games, he's getting himself in some really good places. He scored 3 goals on 1-touch finishes, and his other 2 goals were 2-touch finishes. He's getting into good spots, and Greg Vanney has a system playing around him that fits his style of play, and they're playing winning soccer. They're the only team to get 6 points out of 2 games in the opening 2 weeks of MLS play.
Which is absolutely crazy to me because honestly, I had very low expectations for this Galaxy squad heading into the season, and now I'm kind of over the moon about them, thinking they could go all the way and whatnot. They definitely have their defensive issues still present that they need to clear up. But with Chicharito, what was so great is, let's talk about that second goal real quick. That was something he would have never done last season. 2020 Chicharito could not get that goal, but then those other 2 goals were very vintage Chicharito goals. All you got to do is find a way to put it in the net, and that's what Chicharito has done so successfully. Now we're getting into the stale player of the week, my favorite segment on the show. Blem, who is your stale player of the week?
When you hit me with this topic, I had a really tough time figuring out where I wanted to go with it, but my stale player of the week is in his 11th season in the league, yet he is only 26 years old. He ranked 2nd in most goals scored in his previous club's history with 53 goals, and he just scored the inaugural goal for Austin FC Saturday night in their win over the Colorado Rapids. My stale player of the week is blonde-haired Diego Fagundes.
That is a great pick, and it's very funny because, yeah, Diego Fagundes wasn't even expected to start that match until, like, Thomas Pochettino went down with whatever controversy is happening. We could get into that another time. But yeah, I mean, this might be his one shining moment of the season. And what a shining moment it was for Diego Fagundes. Great call with the Stale Player of the Week. My pick is someone who didn't actually play well. But in my definition of a stale player, you see him on the field and you're like, wow, this guy's still starting in MLS in 2021. That is Tesho Akindele of Orlando City SC. I watched their match and he did not look great. His ability on the ball has diminished. His pace has sincerely diminished, but still played. He did get subbed off, but that is my stale player of the week. Tesho, I just got to give you a little shout on the show because you deserve the recognition for still being able to make an MLS roster, because that's really what this award is all about. Anyways, we're going to get into some pass or shoot. Speaking of your stale player of the week pick, Austin FC, you know, they won their first ever match on the road too. Pass or shoot, Austin FC will make the playoffs.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to shoot. 7 expansion sides have made playoffs in their inaugural season, and I think Austin FC makes it number 8. They have a identifiable style of play. They have veterans with Matt Beasler, congrats on the baby, Nick Lima, Ben Sweat, Alex Ring, Diego Fagundes, and they got their DPs up front, Redes and Cecilio Dominguez, and they have another DP spot to fill in the summer. So I think that they're a team to watch out for, and I think they probably sneak in right around the 7 line.
Yeah, that's the thing. Only 7 teams. I mean, 7 is a lot, but like with how competitive MLS is, with so many teams that could make the playoffs, I'm actually going to pass this one still, just because, you know, the Galaxy have been very convincing for me. San Jose looked much better in that second match. There's going to be a lot of teams fighting for that spot, and I'll take the odds that they will not make it over a team like the Galaxy, but that's also me being incredibly biased right now. Speaking of the Galaxy, we're going to get back on the Chicharito hype train here. Pass or shoot, Chicharito will win the 2021 MLS Golden Boot.
Well, Herculez Gomez set the line at 15.5, and I asked you in our last podcast, over under. We both took the under. He's already about a third of the way there. He's going to go over 15.5, and yes, if he keeps getting in the box inside the 18 and they keep finding him in those spots where he can just get a one-touch finish, absolutely, he will be the Golden Boot winner.
You know, I regret saying that he will go under on your podcast last week. What I won't regret is picking him up in the MLS Gone Wild fantasy, because, man, did he go off for me this week. And yes, he will win the 2021 MLS Golden Boot. I'm so happy for him. Now, my only worry with the Galaxy is he going to be the only guy scoring for them? Sure, Sasha scored the game winner last week, but one of the biggest problems when the Galaxy had Zlatan is there was only one real goal scorer on the club. You know it's bad when the second goal scorer is your center back, Daniel Steres. So hopefully, you know, the Galaxy will find goals elsewhere, especially, you know, Chicharito kind of going down with the calf thing mid-match. I mean, it might have just been cramps or something, but it's just something to look out for. Chicharito probably won't play every single match. So Galaxy definitely need to figure out where their other goal scorers lie, but I will shoot this one. Now, speaking of shooting, this guy shot the ball into the stands post-match against Minnesota United. David Ochoa, the young goalkeeper of RSL, pass or shoot, Blem. David Ochoa was not in the wrong that match.
That was a phenomenal transition into shooting, from shooting into the goal to into the stands, but I think he was in the wrong there. So for me, as an ex-player, as a kind of like gritty, dirty ex-player that like to do those kinds of things, to get into players' heads and get under their skin, that's something I would have done in the past. But as a viewer, I don't know, I wasn't a big fan of it. I also don't have a huge problem with it. I think Minnesota took it way too personally. Wonderwall was right behind him for that second 45 minutes, so they were probably chirping him the whole time. And Ochoa, being a young kid, he was just at the U23s. He punted the ball into the stands. So what? So I think we're blowing it a little bit out of proportion. Is it right? Is it not right? I don't know. I think it's if we needed a villain in week 2, we got it.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm actually going to shoot this one. I don't think he was necessarily in the wrong here. And I just have a question for you to kind of back this up. Let's say David Ochoa wasn't the person who kicked it, and it was a big figure, like a Zlatan type guy or like a Nani, like a big name. Would you still think that he was in the wrong?
I think so. I really do think so. I don't think it matters the player, the caliber of the player. I think it's just not a situational thing, but it is what happened, and it doesn't necessarily need to happen. You kind of have to control your emotions. That's my takeaway from this thing. Like, just control your emotions a little bit more.
Yeah,
But
obviously Minnesota fans are very pissed, but honestly, as a neutral in this match, it was kind of fun to watch. But that's just me here. And now our last one, pass or shoot. The Higuains are the best brother duo in MLS history.
By pedigree, sure. So right now we have two other sets of brothers in Major League Soccer. We have the Charas and we have the Roldans. Both of them they've established themselves within the league. Yimi Chara and Diego Chara have looked really good, especially in CCL early in the league. And Christian Roldan and Alex Roldan are proven starters for the Seattle Sounders. So, yes, by pedigree, the Higuains, if they keep performing, will absolutely be the best brother duo in MLS history. But right now, I think we got a couple other duos that are currently that I respect a little bit more and have a little bit more credibility in MLS itself. But give the Higuains through this season, and if Federico and Gonzalo keep performing the way they are, they absolutely go down in history as the best brother duo in MLS.
Yeah, obviously I have to bring it up after they literally carried Inter Miami to a win over the Philadelphia Union. However, I will also pass this one because I am huge on the Chara Bros. I freaking love them. That 1-2 punch and also the chemistry together. I mean, every time one of them gets on the ball, you could always see them finding or trying to find the other. It's very adorable kind of to watch. And then I'll also throw the Dos Santoses, but they didn't play well together. Gio had a great season before Jonah came, and then when Jonah came, Gio went down the drain. So they don't really make it there. But pedigree, I guess they'd be up there. And now it's time to wrap up the show, or this half of the show, with the meme of the week. It will be displayed here on the screen for you guys. So Willian has announced he wants to make a move to the USA, but only after he wins a trophy at Arsenal, posted official MLS memes. But when you go to the next slide, it's MLS teams realizing they'll never have to sign Willian now. And of course, it is the video of a very sexy man dancing at the Clipper game. And yeah, that sexy man, me, obviously. But what do you make of this meme? What do you make of the Willian situation?
As an Arsenal fan, so we're talking about the first slide. He's not going to come to MLS until he wins a trophy with Arsenal. We may never see him in MLS, and that is why you are dancing at the Clippers game. Also, phenomenal dance moves, by the way. I have two left feet. You move way better than I do. You should get on TikTok, to be honest with you. But I mean, honestly, even if Arsenal doesn't win trophies with Willian there, Willian could come to MLS and make a difference for somebody. He can play within the league. I don't know exactly where he would fit in right now, but he doesn't even fit into the Arsenal first team most weekends, and even in Europa League sometimes. So I think sooner the better for him if he actually does want to make a move to MLS.
Yeah, I really wanted him to come last summer after he left Chelsea, but then obviously the pandemic hit and it would be very hard for him to just make the move across the globe. But yeah, and I gotta mention about that Clipper thing. This has been like the 500th time that meme has been used, but it never gets old to me. And about the dancing part, there was a time, so I'm actually a Clipper season ticket holder among all sports teams, and there was a run for about a season and a half when I was not in college, when I was still in high school, where I was on the Clipper when I was on the Clipper Jumbotron every single game. For some reason, the camera would always just go down on me, and whether I was eating or not, or whether I was dancing and ready for it, like I just had to be ready to go off, and I had to come up with new moves all the time. So shout out to official MLS memes. He is the guy who used that the very first time, and he's coined it as his own. So shout out to him, and shout out to you, Blem, for joining me on the show. That is going to wrap up our time. But before I let you go, where can everyone find the MLS Gone Wild podcast?
Well, first things first, Eli, if this whole MLS podcasting and content creation thing doesn't work out for you, see if you can't be the Clippers mascot, because your energy is contagious, bro. But for anybody that's interested in learning more and listening more to MLS Gone Wild, you can find us on all your favorite podcasting networks, Apple, Spotify, Anchor, anywhere like that. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MLS Gone Wild. Check us out. We do player interviews, game analysis. We talk about all the biggest news. We just had Eli and Eric Williamson on our most recent episode. So we're doing our thing. We'll be back this week with just a really basic episode with just Mike D and I, but that's okay. We'll break down all the week 2 news for y'all.
Yes, also shout out to Mike D, an absolute legend as well. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me, Blem. And after the break, we got Russell Canouse of DC United talking about his goal also week 1 against NYCFC and also real estate. Whoa. Welcome back to episode 9 of the This Week in MLS show. Today, I am joined by the man who made the team of the week for MLS week 1, DC United midfielder Russell Canouse. Russell, how you doing, man?
Great. How you doing, Eli? Good to be on.
Absolutely. That means the world. But yeah, obviously I wanted to get you on the show because of your great performance in the opening weekend. And I'd like to talk with you a little about DC this year because a lot of people may be sleeping on them a little bit. But first, so speaking of DC United, one of their longtime rivals is the New York Red Bulls. And actually back in the day, you were an academy player for the Red Bulls, and you also were in the academy for Hoffenheim. So I was just wondering if you could tell me about those experiences, how you went from Red Bull to Hoffenheim, and then eventually how you came back to America.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. I'll try to keep it long story short, but I'm originally from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I played for PA Classics growing up. That was my first club team in the central PA area. And then I think when I was 12, 13 years old, I started doing a regional development school at Red Bulls and then got into their academy. Spent about a year there, and then I went down to the U17 residency program with the national team down at IMG Academy. Spent a year there, and then one of the summer breaks there, my dad set up a trial for me to go to Hoffenheim. And trialed there, 6 months later, went back and then signed officially at Hoffenheim at 15 years old. So spent 6.5 years over in Germany. I loved my time at, Red Bulls obviously was the first stepping stone, then Hoffenheim, and then spending a year on loan at Bochum in the second Bundesliga. I loved it overseas. That's where I spent a lot of my time in my youth career. Graduated from an international school over there and kind of followed the pipeline through Hoffenheim Academy into the first team, and then went on loan, spent a year on loan in the second Bundesliga with Bochum, and then came back to sign with DC United a year later.
So talk to me about some of those teammates that you had at Hoffenheim. I'm sure there's some pretty big names.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, one of the ones I always throw out there when people ask me is Niklas Süle. Him and I were in the academy building in the internat is what they call it. They have like 12 rooms there on site with the fields, chef come in, a couple of the youth director offices, and him and I were in the academy. So I played with him all growing up. And then, when I moved into the first team, one of the other guys I always throw out that I, had a chance to train with and compete with was Firmino, now at Liverpool. So
this is the boring one that you receive when you're a college student all the time, at least what I'm receiving. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Because obviously you were in Europe. Now you're back here with DC, and also in general, you're 25 years old. You're no longer a prospect, but you still have many, many years left. So where do you see yourself when you're 30?
Yeah, it's really a hard question to answer. I always, like I said, I miss Germany. I have, a lot of great memories there. I'm always open to a move back abroad if the timing's right and the situation's right. It's difficult. I'm also enjoying myself in DC and the growth, being the part of the growth of Major League Soccer. It's a huge thing as well. Since I signed in 2017 until now, the league has just continued to make a step every single year. So I can't really exactly say where I'll be in 5 years, but one thing I do like to focus on is year after year. This year I've taken, obviously set new goals for myself and then, reassess it after each season.
I'd actually like you to expand a bit more on the fact of being part of the growth of MLS. Do you feel like as an American player and as a very talented one, it's your duty to kind of be there and help the growth, or do you not really think about that?
No, I definitely do. Obviously, I'm part of the MLS Players Association, so that's kind of where I feel like I can take it upon myself and, take all the opinions of my teammates and try to portray it into, whatever we're trying to achieve with the PA, the negotiations, trying to create different processes. So, that is my way I feel like I can help. Obviously, also performing on the field as an American. making our foreign guys who come in, comfortable when they come in. I love that part of it too. All our, Spanish speaking players, guys coming from Europe, I enjoy making them feel comfortable too. So as an American, I naturally have that because I am from this country. So I can, there's a little bit of confidence in me to like make them feel comfortable because this was where I was born. So I enjoy it. And it's great to see, like I said, the growth of this league.
Mm-hmm. I know you're fluent in German. Are you also fluent in Spanish? You mentioned talking to the Spanish.
No, not yet, but I love all the Spanish music. So I'm definitely singing all the reggaeton songs that go on in the locker room.
Who gets
I
oxed?
don't understand it.
Yeah, who gets oxed during the pregame or postgame?
Our equipment guy is handling, pre-post game, but someone I would trust with the ox is Assad. I would give him ox.
Okay.
Yeah, Yamil Assad.
Okay, for sure. I'm gonna mention him now because I saw a tweet a while back of your boy Paul Arriola saying that he's a big Blink-182 fan and he cried once listening to Blink-182, and like a Blink-182 fan of me wanted to bring that up. But I was just wondering, like, I hear you have a very close relationship with Paul Arriola. Could you dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, Paulie's one of my best friends. I think it goes back to U14 national team. That's when we first started to build a relationship, obviously with playing, and then we've stayed in touch over the years. And it was interesting how the whole transaction happened with DC United, because I signed the day before Paul signed, and he signed obviously on transfer deadline day. So it was great because I had one of my good friends, now I'll say one of my best friends, absolutely. He was in my wedding too, so have him in DC. He's been doing well with his comeback and obviously other stuff too, but I'm glad to have him back from Swansea here in DC.
Yeah, obviously he can't participate in matches right now with his injury, but has he still remained like a presence in the locker room, or has been a leader in any type of way?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely, you can tell he's definitely focused on his injury and making sure he can get back out in the field, but that's naturally, he's a good locker room guy who's going to always look to be a leader and help the team. I think it's just for him right now, he's focusing on his comeback here, which hopefully will be soon.
Yeah, no, hopefully. And it was cool to see him get that loan move to Swansea, but also obviously very nice to see him back, even though he is injured. And let's go into now the 2021 season. So obviously, last weekend was opening weekend, and you guys beat NYCFC 2-1, and a certain person I know who I might be talking to right now scored the game winner. And it was an interesting one because the finish looks so easy, but I know that had to have been a difficult shot for you. So can you just take me through that match-winning goal you had?
Yeah, that was obviously something coming from the training field, which was always good to see. You work hard and try to figure those things out, but you're not really sure how they'll translate into the game. In that moment before the corner kick, Julian ran by me and asked, hey, like, is it good? Once he got over the corner kick, he kind of looked at the situation and made the sign that we were going to run the play. Ball came to me. I was just focusing on getting on target. That was kind of the spot I was aiming for in training. I was kind of leaning more towards that side. And yeah, it just made good contact on it. Was able to, I didn't really hit much power on it. It was more accuracy than anything. So it was great to be a part of that, be a part of the winning goal. Like you said, I don't score too often, but that's something I want to try to improve on. And that was great getting on the score sheet in the first game of the year.
Always great when what you put in the effort for in training translates into the match. And now, so this for you and also for the people, this is coming out after the New England match. So we're going to look ahead at the San Jose match. And I'm just wondering, do you have any thoughts heading into it? What are some things you're going to look out for in the San Jose midfield when you stack up against them?
Yeah, I think it's going to take, obviously San Jose is very man-oriented, the way they play. It's a very interesting style. I actually played a similar style overseas in Bochum. We had a Dutch coach who played very man-oriented. So teams like that, it's obvious to say, but it's difficult to do. You have to, lose your man, find someone to be able to beat their first man and then kind of drive and take advantage of the space. Because they are so man-oriented. So those are, with the ball, that's going to be obviously something that we're going to have to work on preparing for the game, because it is a little bit different than what you get with most opponents. So I'm excited for that game. I haven't played against San Jose yet, so it'll be interesting to see how they with that style. I did play. Sorry, let me correct myself. I played like 15 minutes and then had to get sub off the one game. So.
Oh well, that was very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But hey, do you know? Or no, I'm gonna scratch that. This is getting cut.
All good.
Yeah. So what overall are the expectations like in DC for 2021?
Yeah, I think obviously there's been a lot of people after a season like last year that have had us towards the bottom in the rankings. I think there's a lot of work that our team has put in the first 7 weeks of the season, and we're still continuing to build our fitness and style of play with Hernan Losada's system. I think it's very exciting. I think it's something that can, have us have a successful season. We have to complete games, full 90 minutes and be smart in the way we go about it. But it's definitely bringing a different type of energy into the team that we didn't have. We feel like we can compete in games that, last year maybe you get outpossessed by New York City, but today we're going after them, on top of them. We have a chance to win at any moment of time. So I think it's an exciting season. I'm not really sure where we'll go. Obviously, we have the goal of making playoffs and doing, things beyond that. But I think the focus right now is just to continue to buy into Hernan's system and what he wants from us, and collectively go at these games as a group.
We're now going to step away from soccer because you, like many other MLS players, even though you're doing something a bit different, kind of live a double life in a way. A lot of athletes, they focus on their sport, but you do more than just play soccer. And I want to talk about real estate because I know you're very interested in that. You've gone onto other platforms and talked about it. I just want you to tell my followers just what exactly you do in real estate.
Yeah, real estate, it started like probably 2.5 years ago. I've always had a passion for real estate. In Germany, I would, go find my apartments myself and, negotiate it and stuff in German. Coming back to the US, I've obviously been able to build, a lot of great relationships that have led me into the real estate industry a bit more and connecting with a lot of different people. Partners of mine, Eric Quadros and Jordan Stewart. Jordan Stewart has the Next Move brand, and he's kind of already set up something for athletes across the country that move between clubs. So I'm looking to help him within MLS, build that even more because I think it's super valuable to have a support system that, athletes can follow. So that's something I do on the side. It's, it's kind of taken a back seat now that the season started. It's in the off season, it, really keeps me busy with my training. But now obviously priority is the season. But real estate is definitely a passion of mine. I got my license in 2018, and then this off season I used that to negotiate a purchase for myself for a house here in DC. So we did a little bit of I had to organize some contractors and stuff in the off season and handle the whole negotiation process. So it was a cool process for me to be a part of. My first real experience myself, but enjoyable. And obviously, I'm glad it's settled now that the season started because it would have been way too hectic to try to deal with this during the year.
I think I saw on your story yesterday or the day before, you were making the house, basically. I mean, you were putting some things together. I saw something with the door, and I was just wondering, is that your house? Is that... Yeah,
that's the one I'm living in right now. So, I mean, like I said, it's kind of difficult to do that during the year. My long-term goal is to, build a real estate portfolio and continue to build connections within the industry, which has been great. Like it's hard doing it while playing. So you have to do little step, but the house that you saw me painting the door probably was my house here. So most of the renovations are done. We're just doing small projects that, on my day off, it keeps me busy and it's enjoyable for me to see the progress. Now I have to take care of the lawn, all these things. So true homeowner.
Congratulations on that. Well, That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me, and good luck next week against the San Jose Earthquakes.
I appreciate you. I love what you've built, man. Keep it going. It's awesome to see.
Thank you so much once again for coming on. And guys, that is it for episode 9 of the This Week in MLS show. See you guys next video.
Ricochet is the GOAT. Ricochet is the GOAT. Ricochet is the GOAT. Ricochet is the GOAT. Oh, not so. Oh, not so. Oh, not so. Oh, not so.
I'll see you guys in the next video.